regardless of where you're from, I'm not talking about nobody in the U.S. Comment if you have diet soda, diet drinks, diet anything on your menu when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, restaurants. Because we always got like that diet option. And it doesn't, I don't know why.
It don't do anything.
It don't do anything. It's like.
Yeah, it's still there. It just tastes a little flat.
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchet REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
You experience some type of reverse culture shock. So in this video, I want to share with you some of the biggest culture shocks that I've experienced coming back to the US. Let's talk about homelessness. When you think about a city like San Francisco, you might think about technology, you might think about Silicon Valley, you might think about a first world country, a first world city, but you'll be shocked when you come downtown to see tents, to see people shooting up, to see needles, to see a big homeless population. And it's always a big shock for me to come back, even though I grew up in the city, because the homeless population has gotten progressively worse and worse throughout the years in a place like San Francisco, Portland. And it's a shock because in Europe, in the Netherlands, you don't see homeless people. I'm sure there are homeless people, but you just don't see them on the streets.
Look at that guy.
And it's sad because many of these homeless people have mental problems. They're shouting, they're yelling, and they're not getting the help that they need. In a place like Amsterdam, I believe 30 to 40% of housing is dedicated to social housing. And there's a welfare program as well. But in a place like San Francisco, it's extremely expensive. I can imagine it to be very difficult for anyone to get by, let alone someone making minimum wage or someone who has mental problems. It's extremely hard for them. I don't know what the solution is, but it's always a big reverse culture shock for me to come back. And it begs the question, did I come back to a first world country, third world country? So let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Let's talk about American over-friendliness. Because it's always a shock for me to come back to the US to have people, random bus drivers, security guards, ask me how I am, have a great day, good morning, good evening. And it's a shock because in Europe, you don't get that all the time. Now, a few weeks.
First of all, I love that about us out here
Yeah,
because,
like
you could be walking and minding your business and you hear two people very loud having a very beautiful, positive conversation, and they don't know each other.
Right.
Like they talking like they've been knowing each other, but they don't know each other, and I like that.
And it helps your day go by a little easier. You never know if you're the only person that person speaks to that day.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of helps you go along.
I mean, but think about it. If you look around, the stat says that a lot of mental health depressions comes from feeling lonely.
Yeah.
So I hear, you know what I'm saying, a lot of conversations, like you just said, does kind of make a person's day feel a lot more brighter or uplifted. And I feel like us on here doing this for you guys as well, a lot of people don't get a lot of interaction. So I feel this is a very beautiful way of helping people, you know, get through that mental state.
Right. It's kind of crazy because on one hand, you know, the country is known for being in battles with each other, right?
Come on now.
Over politics, over the littlest,
That's
littlest
a
thing.
big fact.
But we speak to each other, and it's not it's anybody.
I don't know too many locations where you're gonna see someone argue and be friends in the same day.
Right.
It's like they're gonna beef it out for a second,
and
then next thing you know, they're gonna be sipping and drinking together the next hour or so.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Weeks ago, when I came back to the US, I went to the state capitol building in Sacramento, California, and as I was leaving, the security guard says something to me, and I thought I was in trouble. What did I do wrong? But he only said, "Have a great evening." And
Yep.
it was a big shock to me. I had to laugh it off.
It's been
But
a
I think
while.
it's a great thing, right? Some people might think Americans are over friendly, superficial, but for me, it can brighten up your day. The other day, I was in the elevator and this woman comes up to me. I was kind of stressed out at that point in time, and she strikes up a conversation, and within a few minutes, I felt a lot better. That human connection. While people might think Americans are over friendly, superficial, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And for me, that's a great thing. And this over friendliness leads me to my next topic about customer service.
I've heard
You
that too.
immediately notice the difference between customer service levels in the US and levels in Europe. It's a lot better in the US. Well, there are several factors. One big thing is that people in Europe are paid a fair wage, even waiters and waitresses. They're not working for tips. In the US, many waiters, waitresses have a wage, probably a minimum wage, but they're also working for tips. So there's an incentive for people to provide better customer service. Also, customer service is taught to people. It's enforced. As a customer, it really helps because when you enter a restaurant, yes, it's about the food, but a big part of it, it's about the experience, the level of customer service that you get. And it's a lot better in the US. But it can go a little bit too far because the other day I was at a restaurant with friends and we were catching up. We hadn't seen each other in 5, 6, 7
Bruh,
years.
that's just
We were
that. The
talking
whole waiter will come and sit down with you.
Oh, we've had that one.
He'll
And we
come sit down
like,
with you and be like, girl, let me tell you about my day real quick. Because, like, the conversation as they standing and looking down and talking to you is kind of open. You know, everybody casual, we speaking, you know.
yeah.
And then they pull up a chair and sit down with you and be like, okay,
But
sir.
you know what, though? I feel like it's because of our energy.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because
Oh, yeah, 100%.
that's why I think it. See, I don't know. I'm thinking of
You're right
something,
about it.
but I remember the time, that time, and she came sit down, and I'm like,
All you can do is sip your drink and smile.
I want to eat my food.
Right, right, real talk.
Go back to work, please.
This is not a break. No, I'm joking.
On deep subjects, and this waitress kept coming back every 5, 6, 7 minutes. How are you? Do you want another drink? Anything else for you? That was so annoying because we were in the middle of this very deep conversation, and then this waitress kept coming in and ruining the conversation. So on the one hand, customer service is a lot better in the US, but it can also be way too much. And tipping is also a big reverse culture shock as well, because in Europe you pay one price on the menu, but in the US you have to readjust to the fact that on top of this price you have to pay sales tax and then you have to tip as well. So you're adding potentially around 25% extra on top of the price that you see on the menu. So psychologically,
It's like this, right? So you go up in there and you pay for your burger. They be like, so how much is this? It's going to be $7.80, $7.99. You be like, okay, I got $5 and $2 and get some change real quick. Next thing you know, there's a tipping jar. You got to look down that, and then you see all the, you see everybody in the kitchen looking at you. So you gotta be like, let me see if I got another $5 or something put in there. And then you go sit down and eat your food. And as you're sitting down, the waiter's gonna give you the most beautiful hospitality, you know what I'm saying, ever in the world, right? And then as you're leaving, they probably gonna hit you one of them stores. Yeah, I'm trying to get through school. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's another tip on the table. Just make sure you pocket this one, okay? Like,
No other tip. That's when I write my good note. Give you a little words of affirmation. You know.
I heard that.
Y'all,
Yeah.
Did we tell them about my note?
We have before, but I think
we told y'all about
you
my
can hit
note.
them with
Yeah.
it again.
I write notes,
Long
long notes on the receipt.
Mm.
You know that they keep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really helps people though.
it does.
Yeah.
you have to readjust to that as well. Oh yeah, there's a lot more free stuff in the US. Let me explain. In a place like the Netherlands, in Europe, you have to pay to use the toilet. You have to pay for ketchup.
Oh, we
But
saw-
in the US,
That was
all
culture
these
shock.
things are free. They're part of the package, part of the experience. You get free bread in restaurants. There's free ketchup, free condiments. You can use the toilet at McDonald's. And that's a really nice thing because it was a shock for me to go to Europe to have to pay for everything. But in the US,
You can walk in restaurants and get a cup of water. I just want to throw that in there for free. It's like,
Cause he don't be getting no cup of water.
yeah.
everything is part of that package. It's more convenient. There's free stuff, free ketchup, free bread, and it's really nice. And all this free stuff might not be the best thing because I'm always shocked when I come back to see all these fat people, to see obese people. 42% of Americans are obese. That's a big number. And I'm not surprised because when I look around, I see a McDonald's here, Burger King, Taco Bell.
Not the free.
Because I've been getting free things all my life. I like my free refills.
And you fine, baby.
And I'm fine.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm fine. All right?
Man, he was very blunt with that one. He
Yeah.
put a tear in my eye. Just what? Bruh. I mean, yeah,
It's
we
an issue, but
It's an issue,
we can't
but
completely blame it on the free stuff.
I'm not looking at people and being like, well, you have a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
You don't need no free refill. You don't need no supersized fry.
that bread that comes for free on the menu, don't give it to them, y'all. Just don't give it. Nah, that's not.
I do understand the obesity issue. I do, but just to blame it on the free stuff.
Obesity isn't necessarily okay. I'm not gonna say it's not size because anybody can fact check that and say the definition of obesity is this. But when I hear obesity, I'm thinking about your heart. I'm thinking about your blood. I'm thinking about your levels. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about like what the impact internally looks like for
Diabetes,
you. You know what I'm saying?
that.
Things of that nature. So that's the health risk that when you got. But you could be very, voluptuous, you know, and be healthy. It's very possible. I mean, if you look in the NFL, a lot of these guys are huge. I'm talking about huge, but they're healthy as a horse.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's according to the standards, but I do understand
I feel like,
there
that
is an issue with that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not just that. You know.
The free stuff.
Oh, Jack in the Box. There are so many fast food restaurants, and they're so convenient as well. Many of them are open 24 hours. There's this graph that was shared online that I was surprised and shocked by. It shows that Americans spend the most on healthcare, but has the lowest life expectancy. This really begs the question, why? What is going on? And when I think about it,
A lot of cheat days?
every time I come back to the US, I gain weight. Well, that's because of family reasons. My mom is feeding me a lot more. But people also commented online saying that Europeans, when they come to the US, they also gain a lot more weight than when they travel elsewhere. And I think it goes back to the fact that when you look at the food, what's inside the food, it's a lot healthier in a place like Europe as compared to the US. I don't know enough to comment on this, but from the comments, it shows that what goes into the food in the US, it's not good. It's still
This
shocking.
is going to be a deal breaker right now. Regardless of where you're from, I'm not talking about nobody in the U.S. Comment if you have diet soda, diet drinks, diet anything on your menu when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, restaurants. Because we always got like that diet option. And it doesn't, I don't know why.
It don't do anything.
It don't do anything. It's like,
yeah, it's still there. It just tastes a little flat.
oh, no.
That's it.
Let us know. Let us know.
It me to this day to look around to see people who are not just, say, fat, but really, really obese. You don't see that every day in a place like Amsterdam or in Europe in general. Another reverse culture shock that I have coming back to the US connected to obesity is the fact that supermarkets, grocery stores are big.
I like
They're
that
huge
though.
in the
Connected
US.
though?
There's anything and everything that you can find, a lot more variety. And this can be a good or bad thing. Now, in the Netherlands, there are these big supermarket chains as well, and you can find anything and everything there, but there aren't as many options as the US.
Oh, yeah.
In the US, if you go down a supermarket, you can find 30 options of cereal, anything and everything. So on one hand, it's quite the experience, right? You have so many options, but on the other hand, it can be really hard to choose. I spend a lot more time shopping in the US because, oh, there's this new variety of this, there's a new cereal, there's this new package of orange chicken. And it's on one hand fun, but you also get, what do you call it, decision fatigue.
Y'all see all these boxes? This is why, right here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of food products that doesn't require you to get up and cook it.
You better go in that kitchen and cook from scratch.
Walk back and forth all day in that kitchen and get the job done. But a lot of these options that he's showing is just microwavable food. Take it, sit down and bust it. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, we have a lot of food products that we don't need to cook. Oof, Lord Jesus.
Baby, look, we gonna cook it from scratch. Y'all know we cook soul food. We talk about that all the time. We cook some soul food. And my grandmother is about to be 91 years old, no health problems. And she been eating soul food all her life. So we good.
Heard that.
We good. You cook it a certain way so it don't be as unhealthy.
So it don't hit you in the long run.
Right.
'Cause that's a long run. You don't want to stop.
Or it's hard to choose because there's so
Look at
many
that.
options.
Look at that.
But it is fun. And yes, you have a lot more variety, more convenience, more stores in the US. But you have to drive everywhere to get there. And that's always a big shock for me coming back to the US because I
Give or
could be
take.
driving 5, 6, 7 hours in a
see.
place like California and still be in the same state.
7
If I drive 5, 6, 7 hours in Europe, I could be in a different country, sometimes two
Oh,
countries.
that way, okay.
And that's one thing I do like about Europe. I could take a train and be in Paris within 3, 4 hours. London,
not bad,
same time
though.
as well.
I like that.
That's
In the
fine.
US, the distances are just very big.
Still in Texas.
And that could be a good
It's
thing
5,
if you
6
enjoy
hours.
driving, road tripping. There's a lot of time for reflection. But you do need a car to get around in the US. And public transportation, well, how do I put this in a friendly way? Public transportation in the
Little to none.
US is not so great as compared to Europe. Well, because the distances are so big, you have to drive everywhere. But the infrastructure in the US, it's not really built for public transportation, it's built for driving. Even in a place like San Francisco, where you have multiple modes of transportation, it's not so efficient. I also lived in LA for 10 years, and well, public transportation there is a nightmare. It's even worse than driving there.
Wow.
Because I remember having to get to work, and driving took about an hour and a half sometimes. But if I took public transportation, it would have taken 3 hours one way. Now that's pretty bad.
That
And when
is
you drive everywhere, you see all these billboards, you see capitalism in your face. And that's always a big shock for me coming back to, right? The ads, the billboards everywhere on your TV, on cars. It's a big shock for me coming back to, right?
No, I
The
didn't see that.
ads, the
Oh, okay.
All you need is love.
Our roads just look familiar. The same, similar everywhere. Okay.
You'll be fine now.
Thought that was a certain exit.
billboards everywhere on your TV, on cars, in public toilets, everywhere. That's part of American society. The fabric of American society is
Yes.
capitalism. And you grow up with it as well. Even on TV, I was shocked to see all these commercials. I was in this cafe the other day and I read this poster that said, "Why be average when you can be amazing?" And I had to laugh because it reminded me of the fact that I'm back in the US.
That's
Because
good.
in the Netherlands, people are taught to be average. You don't
See,
Uh-oh. That's a controversial. Uh-oh.
that's one part of our culture that I agree with. I don't agree with a lot of some of the a lot I can't even speak. I don't agree with a lot of things, but that's something like I like being myself. I like
Yeah.
not having to conform to nobody else. Like I like it.
Yes.
YouTube.
Yes. Yes.
YouTube.
Big facts, yeah.
Be yourself on YouTube.
We have like this thing where, well, I don't know if it's a we thing because I can't speak for everybody, but I just think, growing mentally, growing internally, you know what I'm saying? Getting the best health out of it, you know what I'm saying? Like all of that stuff is a thing about being your best self. Like,
Yeah, your best
so
self.
I mean, pushing, like, it just gets you out of those stress environments, mental environments, making you feel like that you don't amount to much, things of that
Comparing
nature.
yourself
That
to
comparison
others.
things all that stuff goes out the window when you really know who you are and you tap
Right.
into that and you know that you're like that, you him, you her,
Right.
like off the bat.
Now I do know that some people take it to the extreme and it becomes
yeah.
a negative thing. But
Mhm.
look at Michael Jackson. Look at Beyonce.
Mhm.
Like those are two people you can't really compete. They in their own lane.
They got
you know
their
what
own
I'm
sound, their own swag.
Yeah.
They who they are. You know what I'm saying? They represent where they from.
Yeah.
Like, they big. They big.
Like, I do understand not, wanting to boast about your achievements and all that. I do understand
Oh, yeah,
that.
they sure do say that.
But
yeah.
I just could not imagine just being average is not. I don't know.
It's like you want to say it without offending.
Right.
Because I know people would like really sit with this mindset. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with it. Some people just don't want
It's just
to.
not a part of.
You know what I'm
our
saying? But I
culture.
feel like in our culture, everyone is, at some point know that there's a better version of themselves that they want to run into in the future. So they
Right.
don't look back over their lives in the future saying that what I should have done. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Be your best
Be
self.
your best self 100%.
Your best self. Don't try to be nobody else. Like, that's a part of our culture. I know y'all may not agree with it,
Yeah.
but I like knowing that nobody else could be me and I don't want to be nobody else. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The shoe fit, just keep taking steps up, not just forward.
Yeah.
Go higher.
Yes.
Want to stand out. But in the US, we're taught at a very early age that you want to be the best. You want to be better than everyone else.
Not
And
better
Not
than
it's
everybody.
built
that.
into our mindsets, the education system. We are competing to get into a good school, to get a
There's a lot of
good
that.
job, and we're always competing and trying to be overly ambitious, which can be a great thing because for me, it pushed me. People around me pushed me to become a better version of myself. But at the same time, it can be dangerous if you don't know how to take care of yourself because you could always be comparing yourself and running on this
don't wanna do that.
treadmill of trying to be better than everyone else, comparing yourself. In one sense, it's a great thing, but on the other hand, it can be dangerous. But I always have to laugh because the mindset of living in the Netherlands trying to be average is completely different than the mindset of Americans trying to stand out. And speaking of standing out
no.
versus standing in,
I don't necessarily think it's so much. Well, yeah, it can be stand out, but
It's the perspective of the way it's being taught and told to
Right.
other people that makes them think that, oh, you want to be better than everybody? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's never that
we're not
level
looking.
of...
Now, we can only speak for the Demouchets, okay? Like,
Yeah.
we're not looking for to other people to say it's me versus you. No.
Right,
It's
right.
always you versus you.
Facts.
Always wanting to be better than the person you were yesterday. So with us having children, we want them to be their best selves. We don't want them to judge their brother or judge their sister and try to compete with that. No, be better than who you were yesterday, last year. You.
I was taught
Nobody
at
else.
I was taught at an early age, and no one else in this world got your fingerprint.
Mm.
So just be yourself, because everything
Yes.
else that comes with you is going to be yours to use, and no one else can really operate it the way you can operate as your vehicle that you're supposed to like have wired up to the T. You know what I'm saying? It's like one day you guys was all up in them little we was doing old school cars back in the day, and now we all the way up in Tesla. What happened? They decided to take a version of something and advance it all the way to a time that's going to be
Right.
suitable for the future. And I think personally, if you're too busy focusing on what everyone else is doing, you're not going to amount to the amount of energy, success, work ethic that they're
Yeah.
doing, because you're going to be pulling yourself in ways that you don't know how the heck they're doing it. And then
Right.
you're going to be in a position to self-destruct, which is going to put you in a new position to believe that you're not good enough. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And then you give up on what you believe is that's passionate to you. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So he said something about jobs. We're trying to get into
Competing.
jobs, competing to get
Yeah.
into jobs. So in the Netherlands, when you are applying for a job, how does that job process go? Because here, and I thought it was the same everywhere, but here you are the best candidate is chosen.
Yeah.
So
It's like in sports.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like wanting that management position when you have a whole crew of guys that have been working for 2 years on the job, and they're ready for that new position. Everybody starts filling out the application. They're not
Yeah.
competing to say I'm going to be better than you. They're competing to say, bro, I hope you get it just like I hope I get it, because they want the best to do it. So I feel like I'm the best, but you may be fitted for what they're looking for. You know, who
Right.
knows? But everybody want that position. It's not a, I'm going to step on your feet. And I mean, some people do that.
Yeah,
But not everybody's like that. So.
Right. We are just talking about us. We don't care what nobody else doing.
Facts, yeah.
At all.
It's always a big shock for me to come back to the US to reconnect with friends and for them to tell me that they're working until 11, 12, 1 a.m. because people do work a lot more hours in the US as compared to Europe. I also remember working a lot more hours in the US as well. It's a difference in culture, work culture. People in Europe seem to work to live. People in the US seem to live to work. And there's no right or wrong answer, but it is true. People do work longer hours in the US. People get less vacation days in the US as well. People in Europe, especially now in the summertime, everyone is off on summer holidays and vacation. Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer, but that's a fact, and that's always a shock for me to come back to the US. Wow, I can't believe it's been 4 years abroad for me, and every time I do come back to the US, I do experience reverse culture shock. Probably because I've changed as a person, I've learned so much. I guess there's no right or wrong answer to live a good life, but these are, in fact, some of the differences that I've experienced, some of the shocks. I do miss many things about American life, the convenience, the American ambitiousness. It really has driven me to become a better version of myself. There's also many things I don't miss. I don't miss the homeless problem. I don't miss the obesity problem. And in many ways, I don't feel European. I don't feel very American anymore. I don't feel very Asian. I don't really know what to feel, to be honest. But hey, I guess this is what it feels like to be a global citizen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to continue exploring, but I'm also very curious to hear from you. What have been your reverse culture shocks?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
global citizen.
That was a bar, man. That's how you take it. That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way as well, although we haven't started our travels yet.
Yeah.
Coming soon. We just got some personal goals to reach. Yeah, I kind of feel that way. A lot of the things that we have been learning on the channel within this last year, we have taken some of those things, you know, and gotten rid of some of the other things when our people is helping us see ourselves as Americans, you know.
Yeah.
So
100%. That's why we feel that opening up your perspective and your mindset to new things is gonna better you. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna better you. Look at it like this, right? I was thinking if I want to use this analogy or not, but I'm gonna use it anyway. Look at it as like an officer's suit. How he have all these gadgets.
Right.
Shoot, you can even think about a military cat, right?
Yeah,
they have military, right? They got their flashlight. They got everything on their body, on their person.
Yeah.
And the more they add to them, it just helps them be better for situations that they face in life. So that's a bar. That was hard. That was hard. I'm gonna leave it like that. That's it.
Yeah, but that was cool, you know.
Yeah.
Very interesting topics. Now, y'all know I like my soul food and I like my car, so I'm going to keep that one. Oh, wait, this is the Netherlands. I'm always picking with y'all. I'm always picking with y'all. But, yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request form is in our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.